A little bit of breaking news out of Nevada. The trial for former Playboy model Kelsey Turner now off the books. She has pled guilty for her role in the murder of killing renowned psychiatrist Dr. Thomas Burchard back in March of 2019. Sentencing is set for January 10th. She is facing 10 to 25 years in prison for her role in this murder. She entered an Alford plea where basically she says, yeah, I didn't do it, but I realize I'm going down hard, so I'm going to come to an agreement with you. This case revolves around, this is basically the sugar daddy case where Burchard lived in California. He supported Turner. In return, she gave him some time, and they talked, and he'd visit her every now and then in Las Vegas. And when that relationship soured, he came out to Las Vegas one more time, according to the state of Nevada, and that is when Kelsey and her friends killed him and tried to access his bank accounts. She always maintained it was her boyfriend and the others, not her, but she has pled guilty in this Alford deal. Let's talk about it quickly with Casey Early in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and Philip Dubé in Los Angeles. This Alford plea, Casey is basically saying, I didn't do it, but I realize I'm going down, so I don't want to go to trial because you're going to beat me. Do judges like that, or do they want you to? Because her sentencing is 10 to 25. It's a pretty big swath there. What's your take on the strategy that she's employing instead of just saying, oh, I plead guilty, I did it, I'm sorry?
Well, here in Florida, it's called a no contest plea. So you're basically not contesting the charges, but it's the best resolution to your case. So either way, the case is getting resolved, whether she pled guilty or whether she said no contest to just resolve her case. There could be possible mitigation, especially if this is her first time offense, and a pre-sentencing investigation report most likely will be ordered to give the judge more information about who she is. Is she a career criminal? Is this first involvement? So I'm pretty sure that this pre-sentence investigation will be very important in determining how much time she gets. We know that her boyfriend accepted a plea, and his time frame was between 18 and 25 years. So the walls were definitely closing in on her, because who knows, the prosecution could have listed him as a witness, and he could have possibly testified against her, and she was facing a life sentence in this case. So in this way, this case is resolved. Now it's time for sentencing.
Philip?
Oh, listen, when you come to a deal like this, it means that counsel had to come to Jesus with this client, okay? That's how it works. Look, I am a firm believer in not gambling on a client's life. I don't want to go to trial where the evidence is so powerful and so overwhelming that there is the advent of losing your liberty for an entire lifetime. And yes, I do believe that the boyfriend, I think his name was Kennison, took a deal. He was probably going to be the star witness to say, yes, he killed him with a baseball bat, but Kelsey was in on it. We agreed to stuff his body in the trunk of her car and leave the car abandoned somewhere in the Nevada desert. She was looking at life behind bars. And sometimes in criminal law, you got to cut your losses. You got to take your deals, take your licks, and move on. And that's what this sounds like.
How hard is it, Casey, to get a client to realize the reality here that, hey, we're going to lose if we go to courts? Because some people are holding on. They don't want to do 10 to 25 years. That sounds horrible.
It does. And again, you just have to have that real conversation with your clients. I have it all the time. I don't take a case to trial unless I know that I'm going to put my client in a better position. And oftentimes that better position is maybe we should negotiate. Maybe we should do a mitigation report to show that, you're not this career criminal. You're not what the allegations are stated on the probable cause affidavit, just to persuade the prosecution to possibly give you a better deal. But certainly I have these conversations with my client, but oftentimes if they're incarcerated, they just want to get out. They believe they have a great case. And you really have to have a heart-to-heart with your client to let them know that the evidence is overwhelming, the evidence is stacked against us, and maybe the best possible resolution is to accept this plea. You'll be out in a few years on game time or good time, as opposed to gambling with your freedom and you're in for the rest of your life.
Philip, you ever have a client who refuses your heart-to-heart and says, no, we're going? And what do you do then? Halfway through trial, do they say, hey, can we still get that deal?
That's Groundhog Day where I am. I mean, seriously, that's it. Yes, absolutely. And you got to understand, but contrary to popular belief, most of my clients, honestly, are not recidivists. They're not repeat offenders. It is their first time behind bars, and albeit charged with a doozy, and the thought of being locked up for 10 to 20, possibly even lifetime behind bars is shocking to them. And to start discussing plea settlement agreements within a week or two of their arrest is not realistic, because they haven't even processed the fact that they're even behind bars. But the longer they're locked up during the pre-trial periods, and the more comfortable they get behind bars, and the greater whiff they get of being in a jail setting, that fetidness, if you will, it's easier to have that conversation. Then they start negotiating with themselves, and they go through that Kubler-Ross, sort of 12 stages of death and dying, and it's easier to have that conversation.
Yeah, and then the 20 years seems possible. You could do it. A lifetime seems horrible, and having that light at the end of the tunnel. Again, the news this morning is Kelsey Turner, the former Playboy bunny who had a relationship with a psychiatrist in California that ended up dead. She's pled guilty ahead of her trial. She was supposed to, they were in the final stages of getting ready for trial, and she decided to throw up the white flag and accept a second-degree guilty plea with the state of Nevada, which will afford her the opportunity to see the light at the end of day. She will not likely spend the rest of her life in prison. She had a child after she was arrested while being incarcerated, so she's a very young baby, and she's made this decision to go ahead and plead guilty. She'll be sentenced tentatively in January of next year. There'll be an extensive pre-sentencing investigation. She faces 10 to 25 years for the death of Philip Burchard, and that is it. She's going to go ahead and take that plea.